Spin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation, The Science of Getting Rich, a playbook for doubling your success. Now, before we begin, this one's going to be a note taker, I promise you. You're welcome to screenshot, but we will be sending you a copy of the recording later so you can watch and rewatch and put it in your eyeballs and your earballs and however else you want to ingest it. There's a lot of information, but don't worry, again, we will email you later a link to watch the replay. There's also going to be Q&A at the end, but feel free to enter your questions as we go. Just make sure, please, that you use the Q&A function, not the chat. It's easier for us to manage it in there. We can see who's asking questions. We will do Q&A at the end, assuming we don't go for 3 hours here. It's a lot of information. Also, definitely make sure you stay tuned into the end. We have some really important tools and gifts to give you that's going to help you with your success. So stick around for that. God bless. All right, now on today's webinar, you're going to learn a lot, actually a whole lot, but the 3 key things here, you're going to learn the secret formula for success that works every time. I mean that. You're going to learn the tools it takes to plan and execute your success, and you're going to learn how to empower your success, and honestly, a whole lot more. I want to start by introducing John Mark Shar. Hi, John. How are you?
So excited to be here.
Awesome. John's an executive coach who's helped over 100 entrepreneurs and leaders grow their business in a wide array of industries over the last 5 years, and been a successful entrepreneur and business leader for himself for more than 25 years. That's 2.5 decades if you want to present it a different way. He's co-founded and built a $30 million restaurant company from the ground up. The guy knows everything there is to know about restaurant operations. He's a genius. Probably doesn't like me saying that, but it's true. John's also a native New Yorker and received his undergraduate degree at Stanford University, a master's degree from the University of Southern California, and an advanced coaching certification from the Life Mastery Institute, something you're going to check out. John lives in New Jersey along with me, but not with me. He lives with his wife, Donna, his daughter, Paloma, and their puppy, Daphne, who has been known to make an appearance on webinars of home. And my name is Ciancio. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm a hospitality marketing consultant. I help restaurants raise awareness, acquire, and retain customers through digital marketing, social media, and the use of incredible software. And my personal magic wand is pizza. If you know me, you know what that means. I have more than 20 years experience in branding, digital marketing, and hospitality, and I've worked with literally hundreds of restaurants and dozens of software companies to help them attract and retain customers. Now, a lot of people know me as a restaurant and hospitality marketing influencer, and that's because I run a couple of Instagram accounts with more than 650,000 followers total. Lots of food gratuity on those, but a lot of hospitality marketing tips too, maybe how you found out about this webinar. I also used to own a bar in New York City, so I know what it takes to do that kind of business, but today we're not here to talk about any of that. Today, we're here to talk about science, a very particular science, one that has been around for more than 100 years and has helped lead countless people to success. So we are going to start with a story, okay? This is me, okay? This is me Labor Day 2018, okay? I was swimming at a lake with my family and some friends. It was a perfect end to the summer, right? I had a good job. My career was on track. I was super happy. Things were going well, okay? Later that day, I was in an accident. I fell off a wall and I broke both my wrists and my ankle, okay? After 24 hours in the emergency room, I got moved to a hospice where I lived in a hospital bed in a wheelchair for the next 6 weeks. I couldn't even shower. People had to shower me and it only happened once a week. It was disgusting. My entire life changed literally in the blink of an eye. It put incredible stress on me, on my wife, our kid who was 2 years old at the time, our finances, my career, everything, okay? I needed 24-hour care, but I never missed a single day of work, okay? Even while I was in the emergency room on the first day, that's actually a picture of me on a conference call on the left, all right? I worked every single day I was in hospice. My wrist had fractures so bad I could barely type. Instead, I used voice dictation on my phone to do most of my work. But webinars, conference calls, sales pitches, presentations, I'd missed none of them, right? I was on top of every single one. I finally got transferred home. And I couldn't put pressure on my ankle or wrist, so I had to get around on a knee scooter, literally zipping around my house, right? And once in a while getting out. I couldn't go up and down stairs. I couldn't put my kid into bed. I couldn't stand up or to take a shower. I couldn't even wear a pair of jeans or shoes. Okay, those are like zip-off pull pants, okay? I had intense physical therapy that changed every couple of weeks as my strength came back. And I've been out about 3 months. It's been about 3 months since the accident. And even though I was working, I couldn't go to my office. I couldn't attend in-person meetings. I couldn't commute to the city. I couldn't get on a subway. All of it was just too difficult. I literally sat in this chair at this desk, okay? I was working from home one day when I got the call. I was being let go. along with my boss's boss, my boss, and a couple of other people due to a restructuring of the department. So there I was, rolling around on my knee scooter, weeks before Christmas, no job, intense pain, tons of physical therapy, relying on the support of others to literally get through my day. And I was about to have a mental breakdown. So I got a cane, I got a walking boot, and started sending out resumes, started doing interviews, what anybody would do. And I ended up getting a couple consulting gigs, right? I was making decent money. I was enjoying what I was doing. My career was getting back on track, but I was not making the money I wanted to make. I was paying a ton of money out of pocket for health insurance. I was literally all over the place. I was still in physical therapy, and honestly, I was incredibly stressed out, and I knew I needed help, okay? That's when a friend introduced me to John here. Nobody knew it. I was very private about it, but I was exhausted, I was exasperated, and I was lost, okay? Now these quotes here, I'm so overwhelmed I can't see past the moment. It seems insurmountable. I never have enough money to meet the demands, okay? John wrote these things down in one of our very first conversations, and from time to time, he likes to bust my back a little here and remind me that I said these things, but that was then, okay? There were days that I would literally lock myself in a conference room and I would lay on the floor and just try to breathe. I was that stressed out. I was at my absolute lowest point, but I committed to a better life. I committed to improving. John and I started working together, and he introduced me to a book, okay? That book is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. We base all of our studies, all of the work that John and I do and that his clients do, we base it on the teachings of this book, right? I wanted to be the head of marketing for a company. 2 months after, working with the laws in this book, I got that title. I wanted a full-time job. And a few months later, that company that gave me the title offered me a full-time position in-house. Now that company got bought by a much larger company, and eventually, like all acquisitions, there was a reckoning. And me, along with almost all of the senior staff, we all got laid off, okay? That was February 27th of this year, just weeks before we entered this global pandemic. My paycheck was cut off, right? My healthcare was cut off. My physical therapy was cut off. Typically, I would go right back into a spiral, that same spiral that goes, that everyone goes through when they lose the job, especially in the middle of a pandemic, okay? But not this time, okay? I relaunched my consulting business, and now I'm happier than ever. I'm making more money than I've ever made. I'm doing what I love. I'm working with awesome entrepreneurs, brands, and tech companies. Literally yesterday morning, okay, I was in a meeting with a $500 million company with the senior vice president, the head of sales, the GM, the head of marketing, all asking me how much of my time could they buy. This is my day every single day now, okay? I've hit 75% of my 5-year savings goal for my kids' college fund in less than 10 months, okay? I love it. And it's all because I follow one core principle, and that is how I think, feel, and act determines my success. And this is the point, John, at which I'm turning it over to you.
So thank you. And what an amazing story to hear you tell that. And I just want to say, not only that, yes, that there is a science to success that we can study and gain mastery over. And that's kind of the main thing we want you to understand today, that it is a science. It's not luck, but there are actual principles that you can follow to create the success that you would love. But I just want to say the reason why you, Rev, have created the success is because you are so diligent, because you are, I believe that all leaders are first learners and students. All teachers are great students, and you have been a diligent student, and you apply these principles every single day. You do the work, and if you do the work will show. And I just want to say, my friend, the work shows in your incredible results, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
So we're going to kind of get into this book. And again, the number one thing that I want you to kind of take away is, and that what Wallace Wattles was talking about here, is that there is a science. Getting rich is an element of it, but it's really to all kinds of success. So some of us might have some feelings about, getting rich may not be the only thing I want in my life. Of course, we all want to be, great people. We want to have great relationships. There's many things that we want. So look at this not only in terms of the word getting rich, meaning having a lot of money, but also full spectrum wealth, amazing relationships, fantastic health, an ability to have what you would love to have, to do what you would love to do with this life, with your time on this planet, to do for those you love the most. So it's really not just about money, but it's about abundance and success in all areas of life. And so I want to give you there are really four main chapters. So Bob Proctor, who is very famous for being in The Secret, and by the way, this book was foundational to the teachings that were taught in The Secret. Bob Proctor is a student of this book and gave this and suggested to my mentor, Mary Morrissey, at a certain stage in their working together, as he was her mentor and her friend, that she read this book. And she responded that she had read this book many times. But what he said to her was that what she was expressing about her inability to overcome some of the business and financial challenges in her business and in her life at the time was showing him that she may have read the book, but the book is still on the shelf and it wasn't in her. And so what he advised her to do was to read 4 chapters, 4, 7, 11, and 14. And we'll be taking you through the core concepts in those 4 chapters every single day for 90 days. And I have done this practice 3 times, and every single day without fail, and actually restarting if you miss a day. And Mary had to restart 1 time. So we're not suggesting that you necessarily do that, but just for you to understand that it's one thing to kind of hear these ideas and principles, but our encouragement to you is to buy the book for 39 cents. You can get it. We'll give you a link. But to spend time deepening with these principles, because the more you deepen in your awareness of them, the more you can apply them and create the results that you would love. So the first foundational principle here is just the idea that thoughts become things. So everything in your room that you're seated in right now, the desk, the computer you're at, any of the furniture, your clothing that you're wearing, anything that you see right now was first a thought before it became a thing, right? Someone designed the shirt you're wearing and then got it, manufactured, right? And so just this idea that everything that we see around us begins in the area of thought. Right? So there's a physical component, what we can experience with our 5 senses, but there's something called the metaphysical component, which is the thought. And that level of awareness means that what I'm thinking can transform my results. And so the next principle here is that our thoughts really create our success, right? And which means that we have the power to change our results by changing our thinking, right? Most people look at the next principle here is vision-driven thinking versus circumstance-driven thinking. So most people, 99% of people, look at their lives and results and their business results, and they look at those as being based on circumstances and conditions. And so I can't grow my business because of the pandemic. I didn't have the right education. I don't have the right team. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. And therefore, my results are limited. And that's very common. 2 of my favorite mentors and teachers, Emerson and Thoreau, who were actually teachers of Wattles in this book, called that common hour thinking or common sense, that our lives are based on circumstances, and therefore, if it's a sunny day, I can be happy. If it's a rainy day, I can be sad. If it's a pandemic, my business is going to be, in negative straits. And if it's an up economy, then I can thrive. So all of the power is outside of me, right? That means that I am a victim of circumstances, essentially, even though that might sound like a strong word. So vision-driven thinking and the underlying kind of thinking in this book is that my thoughts create feelings and actions that generate my results, which puts the power in my hands, right? That means that even in a pandemic, I can grow my business. Even in the pandemic, Rev is making more money, literally in the month since the pandemic, replaced his whole income from his corporate job and then some by acquiring that many clients, right? That's not common sense or common hour thinking, right? That means that he had the power to transform adversity into opportunity. One of the great principles, without diverging too much, is that every adversity has within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That's from another great seminal work, Think and Grow Rich. So even in these challenging times, my encouragement to all of you is to know that just because there's adverse circumstances and adversity, many of you are restaurateurs and business owners and entrepreneurs, that does not mean that you can't transform that adversity into triumph. And our encouragement is that you use these principles to finish 2020 strong. So the last piece is, I just want to have a note on language. So this book was written in 1910 in very patriarchal language. It's all he, and it's all about the male pronoun. And so for all of us, including all of the women on this call, I just want to encourage you to not let that distract you. You can translate to he or she or to you, but I left the language in its original because I hope that you can just move past that, because the principles are brilliant, but it was just a different time. So Rev, if you could advance the slide, please. So I want to take you to some of the core language in chapter 4. You don't have to memorize this. You don't have to write this down, but these words are encoded with brilliance. So I wanted to take a moment with these words. I have said that men or women get rich by doing things in a certain way. And in order to do so, men must be able to think in a certain way. A man's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he thinks about things. To do things in a way you want to do them, you will first have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. This is the first step toward getting rich. To think what you want to think is to think truth regardless of appearances. So that means that thinking in a certain way, there's a double entendre here. There's two meanings to that. Thinking in a certain way, meaning in a specific way, and it also is thinking in a certain, with a level of certainty, with a level of belief and confidence. So it's two aspects of the word certain. And so what this is saying is that we have the capacity to think beyond our circumstances. We're in a pandemic, but we're talking about growing our business exponentially, right? We can think about, having a bank account with a lot of money, even though we don't have a lot of money. We can think about being healthier, even though we may be having some health challenges. That we have the capacity to think truth. The truth is that the power in me is greater than any circumstance, situation, or condition, and not be totally focused on the problems, right? Henry Ford said, problems are those irritating things we see when we take our eyes off of our goal. So to think in a certain way is to be vision driven, to think of the result we would love more than we're thinking about the problem, the circumstance. Okay, please.
Can I give a real simple example here, John?
Yes.
To everybody on the call here today, you ever have a bad day, right? Or a couple of things go wrong and all of a sudden you're like, today just sucks. I wish this day was over. It's going to be a sucky day. That is not the truth, right? Those are circumstances. And in that exact moment, you can stop and get rid of that thought and replace it with, I'm happy to be alive. I'm grateful for my family. I like the sandwich I had for lunch. You can instantly shift your state, and the rest of the day can be absolutely amazing. It can be 11:50 at night, and it doesn't matter the bad things that happened that day. You can still think truth is that it was great.
Beautiful. Well said. Okay, next slide, please. Oops, somehow that switched for me, and I'm now, okay, there you go. To think health when surrounded by the appearances of disease, or to think riches in the midst of appearances of poverty, requires power. But he or she who acquires this power becomes a mastermind. He or she can conquer fate and have what he or she wants. Very important. One of the things that happened in an earlier period, and I'm not likening this to that period, but one thing that's very interesting is that during the Great Depression, more millionaires were created during that time as a percentage of the population than at any other time in American history. Because with the great adversity, there was great opportunity, and there were those who mastered these principles. Napoleon Hill, one of his source materials for Think and Grow Rich was this book, The Science of Getting Rich. So we can think beyond circumstances and overcome them and transform adversity into success. Next slide, please. So we're going to finish up on this chapter with these words. And so this may be a little bit hard to understand, but I want to give you the original language just to start you ruminating on a different way of thinking. So this idea is that there is one thinking substance from which and by which all things are made. So what he's saying is what Einstein said, which was that everything is energy. It can be no other way. That quantum physics has proven that we live in a universe or a quantum field of energy. And that energy is alive and conscious, right? And what this is saying is that in 1910, he actually knew the truth of quantum physics before quantum physics was discovered. And by the way, his source material was ancient teachings from all the world's religions and spirituality and ancient philosophers. And so on some level, what's happening now is that modern science is catching up to ancient wisdom and proving what ancient wisdom has known for centuries, and in this case, for over 100 years prior to quantum physics. And so there is a universal energy field, we can call it. We can call it a quantum field. A thought in this quantum field produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. And so man or woman can form things you can form things in your thoughts. And by impressing this thought upon the energy of the universe of the quantum field, you can cause the things you think about to be created. Just take that in for one moment. That means that if we think about something, thoughts become things, right? It's easy to hear the words, less easy to really take that in about how much power that gives us, right? And so when we realize this, that we are the creators of our own results, that our thoughts, that through our thinking we can create our results, he says we lose all doubt and fear, for we know that we can create what we want to create. We can get what we want to have, and we can become what we want to be. And so that's encouraging to know. It's encouraging to know that, right? And so, yes, you can advance the slide, but I want to add one thing before we, is that it also works to the negative. Negative thoughts become negative things. And so actually, if you want to look at, there's something called the results formula. Our results in our lives are the total of our program beliefs, our thoughts, which lead to feelings, which lead to actions, which lead to results. Ultimately, our thinking leads to our results. And so if there's results that you don't love in your business, in your life, recognize that you are responsible for the results that you have, right? Not everyone loves the idea of being responsible. But again, what I was saying earlier is that gives you power. If you can change your results through changing your thinking, that puts the power in your hands. And so I want to ask you, in summarizing this concept of thinking in a certain way, there's one great way to look at it. If I believe that this is the way it looks as my vision was coming together, how would I feel? So this is about the power. How we use thinking in a certain way is through creating a vision for what we want. So I want you to all imagine that it's the end of the year, it's 2020, and that you finished strong. Imagine what your sales for your business were by the end of the year, right? Imagine that you finished the year even up from 2019, even if you might be down now. Imagine that you are so proud of how you finished this year, and that you look back, and that when you look back in 20 years on this epic, challenging year of a global pandemic, that you're so proud of yourself for the results that you created in 2020, and that those results, are the game is won or lost in this fourth quarter, and that you leaned in and you powered through and you transformed challenge into triumph. Imagine how you'll feel. Just take a moment and imagine it's New Year's Eve, you're with your favorite person, drinking your favorite beverage, celebrating, right? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling proud? Are you feeling grateful, right? So that's the power of this vision. That if we generate a vision of what we want to create, that's thinking in a certain way. And we think more about that than our current circumstances, and we allow ourselves to feel those encouraged feelings. That's the first step toward moving in the direction of creating the results that we would love. And that's the power of vision. Okay, next slide. So the next teaching really is chapter 7, is about gratitude. I want to just check on our time here. I'm going to probably accelerate our pace a little bit. So the idea is, if this is the way it looks as my vision is coming into form, what is the basic feeling, right, of that idea? I feel grateful, right? And this is the idea of that I can be grateful in advance for something that hasn't happened yet. And the idea of that is that when we are grateful in advance, it generates a magnetic field that organizes the molecular structure of time and space into the form of the results we would love. You've heard of the law of attraction, right? You are magnetizing the results that you're thinking about by being grateful in advance. I'm so happy and grateful now that I finished 2020 strong and I got to $10 million, $1 million, $500,000, $100,000. We're profitable, whatever that is for you. So gratitude, energetically, gratitude is the frequency that is harmonious with abundance and success, right? So if you feel grateful in advance of having the thing, that gratitude will attract the thing to you because you're something called a vibrational match, right? What Einstein said was, if you match the frequency of the reality you want in this energetic field, it must be yours. He said, this is not philosophy, it's physics, right? The more I'm grateful for finishing the strong with a profit and $1 million of sales, for example, the more I'm thinking and feeling that, the more I am literally attracting, reorganizing the molecules in the quantum field in the direction of that. And I'll get ideas, and all sorts of people will come to me, resources, and you'll start to see synchronicity by grounding in that awareness. So we'll get into some quotes and we'll keep moving. The whole process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. First, you believe that there is one intelligent substance, one quantum field, one source, one God, one life. It doesn't matter what you call it, one energy field from which all things proceed. Second, you believe that this substance gives you everything you desire. And third, you relate yourself to it by a feeling of deep and profound gratitude. The more gratefully we fix our minds on this source of our being, it doesn't have to be religious if that's not for you, but some energy field, and be grateful for the things when good things come to us. The more grateful we are when great things come to us, the more we attract the more that we would love. We become a match to more. We become a person who has, to whom more shall be given, as it said in the Bible. And the more rapidly those things will come. Next slide. The good things you already, let me just move this. You already have come to you along the line of obedience to certain laws. Gratitude will lead your mind out along the ways in which things come. And if your gratitude is strong and constant, the reaction in the quantum field, in the universe, and formless substance will be strong and continuous. And you will move, and the movement of things towards you will be, the movement of the things will be always towards you. You'll attract them. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude, for the gratitude keeps you connected to this power to attract. Next slide.
I'd like to give an example here, John, and this is one that I got from you through Mary, right? When I pay my electric bill or I write a check to pay my taxes, I am not angry. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I've earned the type of money that requires me to write that check for my taxes.
Exactly.
I'm grateful to have the heat in my house or the cool in my house that allows me to live comfortably. Right?
Yeah.
I'm grateful for those things.
Perfect. And the more we're grateful for the new client or the new business opportunity or the increased sales that we have now, for all of the wins we've already had that we can celebrate, the more we attract more wins. That's why we want to really generate an awareness of what even small wins have I had lately, and how can I energize those with being proud and grateful. And the more I'm focusing on my current wins, the more I'll attract more wins in the future. So gratitude attracts success in the future, and it also keeps you positive in the present. And also, gratitude builds faith or belief. And this is a biblical quote: "It is done unto us as we believe." The more we believe in that vision, so it's one thing to have a vision for finishing 2020 strong, but if we don't really buy it, if we think it's impossible, if we think it's just a pipe dream, then there's no attracting force. There's no magnetic pull to that. So gratitude helps us build our belief. So a couple of quick quotes on this, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. So we are thinking substance, and thinking substance always takes the form of that which it thinks about. The grateful mind is always fixed upon the best. Therefore, it tends to become the best. It takes the form or character of the best, and it will receive the best. Meaning, the more grateful you are, the more positively you're thinking in the moments of your day. To fix your attention on the best is to surround yourself with the best and to become the best. The creative power within us makes us into the image of that to which we give our attention. If we give our attention to worry, doubt, and fear, and anxiety and upset about the pandemic, about our business results, about things that are not going well, we will attract more of that. We will, so it won't save us. If we're thinking negatively and we're committed to that, then we'll attract more of that. It's what we're placing our attention on is what we attract more of. And so faith or belief is born in gratitude. The grateful mind continually expects good things, and expectation becomes this belief or faith. Some of you are really great at something. Just think about something you're really great at. Like if you're an amazing, like basketball player, and you go out, you just know you're going to sink a certain amount of your shots, you're confident, right? And you pretty much show up over and over again playing really well when you go and you play with your buddies on the weekends or whatever it is. And there are some things you don't expect yourself to be that good at. So the power of expectation is that it draws the thing that we would love. So if you could move that vision from 2020, the end of the year, to like, yeah, I'd love this, but I don't really buy it, to I fully expect I'm going to achieve that goal, that changes the energy and the attractive force to that. Okay, next slide. So the next piece is to apply into action, right? Because it's really action that translates our results. So we're thinking in a certain way, we're developing a vision, we're being grateful in advance, and then we're taking steps. So we're acting, very important. If you remember one thing about acting in a certain way, remember this: acting as if it's already done. If I really believe that I achieved my goal for 2020, what would I do now? Right? So I have an example of a client who's thinking about investing in something that will be marketing to grow his business, and he's a little bit concerned because it's stretching, even though and right now there's a lot of cause to be fearful about leaning in and stretching an investment to grow your business, right? And a lot of, I'm sure, Rev's clients face this fear. But if you really believed that you were guaranteed to succeed, what would you do? If you were going to act as if I fully believed, you would lean into the marketing, right? You would take the step you can take. A great example, if I really believed that I was going to be able to go to Italy next year, even though I couldn't afford it, what would I do right now? I would start by learning, even though I can't buy the plane ticket, I'd start by learning 2 words of Italian every day, right? Even though I don't have the money yet, I'm acting as if I have the money. Circumstances are temporary, right? But we can advance confidently in the direction of our dream. That's a line from Thoreau's work. And very importantly, that you do what you can with what you have from where you are, right? Just because you don't have, for example, investing in marketing, just because you don't have the budget you'd love, $50,000, maybe you have, $300 to run a Facebook ad, right? So it's not about, many people get held up because they can't do the big thing that they think that they would love to do or think that they should do. So instead they do nothing. So this principle, it's actually a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, that you do what you can with what you have from where you are, and you keep taking the step you can take. Very important. So we'll see some quotes about this. So here's the idea, that you hold the vision of yourself in the business you want, while you act with faith and purpose in the business you have, and you'll get the job or the business you want, right? And so that means that if my business is having negative results and losing money, right, I have to still act in that business. I'm not walking away from that, but I'm acting with the faith and purpose that I have a profitable business now. I'm acting as if. I'm acting as if I finished the business strong. I'm acting as if I have the job I want. So use your present business as a means of getting to a better one, even if it's the same business but better results. And use your present environment as the means of getting to a better environment. Your vision of the right business, the right success, the numbers that you would love, if held with faith and purpose, will cause the universe to, or the quantum field to move the right business toward you. And your action, if performed in a certain way, will cause you to move toward the business. Next step, next slide. Hold with faith and purpose the vision of yourself in the better environment. I'm so happy and grateful now that I've finished the year strong. My business is thriving. But act based on your present environment with all your heart, with all your strength, and with all your mind. Do not spend any time, daydreaming or castle building. Hold on to the vision of what you want and take steps now. Massive imperfect action. Tony Robbins talks a lot about this. It's not perfect action. Just continue to take the steps that you can take in the direction of your vision, acting as if you fully believe the vision is already done. So that he may receive what he wants when it comes, man must act now upon the people and things in their present environment. This is the crucial point in the science of getting rich. Right here, where thought, thinking in a certain way, and personal action, acting in a certain way, are connected. By thought, it looks like this is cut off on the bottom. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it, is the end of that quote that you can see. By thought, the thing you want is brought, it's attracted to you, but you don't get it until you take it through action. Next slide. So the final chapter here is the impression of increase, and it's an idea of be a person of increase. And the idea here is, you've heard of something in BNI, they invented, if you're in a BNI group, their line is givers gain. And this idea that there is a principle, one of the laws of the universe, just like the law of gravity and electricity and the law of attraction is the law of receiving. Receiving is activated by giving. It's a perfect system. As we give, is the biblical quote, so shall we receive. As we sow, so shall we reap. So being a person of increase essentially means being a generous giver. Right? It means be a channel through which the good can move and your good will ever increase. So that you're a person who is generous of spirit, generous of information, that you're always, what you'll see, there's a quote here, give it more in use value than you receive in monetary value. So for your clients, if you get paid for a service or for a product, everyone feels increased, that they got more value, they receive more value from your good or your service than they actually paid for it. And if you're always in increase, if you're always creating increase, turning up the volume on who you're being with every person you're with, being loving, being kind, being generous, being generous with money, with time, with information, with resources, and being, when you're working, giving more value than you're being paid for. If you're always in that increase, your results must increase. That's the law. That's the law of receiving and the law of compensation. And so there's an extra mile formula that in Think and Grow Rich that I wanted to show you, which speaks to this, which says that the quality of your service plus the quantity of your service plus your mental attitude equals your compensation. So if you want to increase your financial revenue in your business or your personal compensation, increase the quality of your service, increase the quantity, the amount of service you're giving, the number of people you're serving, and also develop a capacity to stay in this feeling of gratitude, to have a positive mental attitude. So we'll see some quotes around this. Next slide, thank you. In following the certain way, you are getting continuous increase for yourself and you are giving it to all with whom you deal. No matter your profession, if you can give increase of life to others and make them sensible of the fact, they will be attracted to you and you will get rich. So you want to convey the impression of advancement with everything you do, so that all people shall receive the impression that you are an advancing man or woman, and that you advance all who deal with you. Feel that you're getting rich, and that in so doing, you're making others rich and conferring benefits on all. Next slide. You must so impress others that they will feel that in associating you, that they will get increase for themselves. See that you give them a use value greater than the cash value you are asking from them. Make every transaction one of increase. Whether it's saying hello to somebody if you're living in a building in the elevator, right? Or saying hello to the grocery clerk and asking how their day is versus just sort of ignoring them as a human being. If you're constantly looking to create increase in all of your interactions, right, you must, by law, receive increase. So we can move off this slide in the interest of time. Okay, so we want to provide you with a tool. The tool is going to look like this. It's not exactly this. It's a little bit of a different document, but it's called the Daily Vision to Action Guide and Planner. And so this is going to be a free gift. We'll send you an email after the webinar where you can download this. And this is a tool for you to implement these principles. And so the first idea is that you're creating a vision of success. So that goes to thinking in a certain way. So you can say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I finished the year strong in 2020. Here are my sales. This is what my company, my team looks like. Here's how I feel. Here's my personal revenue. Here's other things in my life that are going well. So on an everyday basis in the morning, you write out a short version of your vision. The second is an I am statement, is who I am being today. So it's not only like we're going to talk about the to-do list a little bit later, but how am I showing up? I'm showing up as a person of increase. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to be enthusiastic. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be empowered. I'm going to be confident, right? I'm going to be calm even in the midst of circumstances. To write out who you want to be being today as part of your action plan. And there's also a link in the chat here where you can download that as well.
I was just going to say that. It took my thunder.
not pictured here is also, there's going to be room for a gratitude list. What am I grateful for every single day, to just name some things and generate that energy. And lastly, what is my power move action plan, right? What is my to-do list? But it's not everything I'm doing. It's not doing the laundry and, going and having lunch, but it's what are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so power moves today to move me in the direction of my vision, and to write those out. And then to write, how am I going to be doing that? I'm going to be doing that as a person of increase, with the feeling that I fully believe that by taking these actions, I will have the results that I love.
I do this every single day from reading this book and being taught by John, and it has made massive difference in my daily performance and my my monthly performance. And a day does not go by where I don't do this every morning.
Beautiful.
All right. Next thing we're giving you is access to something you can already get, which is The Science of Getting Rich. And I put the price of these on the screen here because I want you to see how cheap this book is. You can have it on your Kindle for 29 cents. You can have an audiobook, which is how I like it, for $1.50. You can have the hardcover if you're really into books like John is. Actually owning the book, you can have it for $9, or you can have it in paper book for $3.29. So just take your phone, take a picture of that QR code, and it'll take you right into Amazon where you can buy this book. And I've also put a link into the chat. So I encourage, and John does too, if you've made it this far in the webinar, to purchase this book if you don't already have it, right? It's super cheap. It's even more valuable than this. You will get twice the use value of what you paid for it, if not more.
Absolutely.
Again, 29 cents, super cheap.
Beautiful.
All right, the next thing, okay? If you are a restaurateur or a restaurant operator, or you are in the restaurant business, a restaurant marketer, I encourage you, again, take your phone, take a picture of that QR code, and I have an ebook out. It's called Perfecting Your Restaurant Experience in an Online World. It's all about mastering the customer journey, right? I believe that there are 26 digital touch points in a customer to order one meal from a restaurant. If you do not have control of all of those pieces of the customer journey, you don't have a perfect experience. This book is designed to teach you all of the places to make sure that you are making sure that you're having a frictionless customer journey. So you can either go to rev.give/chat and you can just download it. It puts you right in my messenger, and give me your email address. I'll give you the book, but you can either take a picture of the QR code or go to the link. And again, I put a link to that in the chat. All right, we've got one more thing for you here. We'll pass this on.
So I want to thank all of you for showing up today for yourselves. You are all highly successful entrepreneurs, many of you restaurateurs, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to have been here to serve you with some of this information today. And I know for some of you, you know that you would love to take this information to the next level and start to really develop a plan for implementing these principles. So I'd like to offer all of you a complimentary 60-minute phone strategy session. It's completely free, where you and I will one-on-one really get some clarity on exactly where you are in your business, and also if you'd like to speak about where you are in other areas of your life. Generate a crystal clear vision of where you want to be at the end of 2020 and perhaps beyond that. And then we can discuss my suggestions, and together we'll create your next best steps to move from where you are to where you would love to be. And the clarity of the challenges, and also the clarity on the vision of what you want, and the clarity of next steps, I can tell you is priceless, and has been for all of my clients. Rev has been through this process with me. So I'm a little bit less tech savvy than Rev, so I don't have a QR code, but this link, I believe that Rev just posted that into the chat.
Yep.
So you can schedule, it's a Kartra.com calendar, John Mark Shaw, right here. You can click on the link now. I don't think you can copy the links in Zoom, but you can click on it, and that will hold that page for you in your browser. And then please schedule this time for me. I would love to serve you in this way. And if you know that you would be served by a completely free session to help move you in the direction of a strong 2020 finish, I would love to serve you.
I had that call. That's how we got here today. I highly recommend you guys talk to John. So again, all these links are in the chat. You can click on them right now. You can copy them. We will also email them to you. So later today, once we get this video created and uploaded and online, we'll send you a link to watch the replay. We'll send you a link to buy the book. We'll send you a link to download my free ebook, and we'll send you a link to book a call with John. So with that, we're going to open it up to Q&A. It looks like we don't have any questions and answers yet. I think people were furiously writing down notes and ingesting the information. But if you have some questions, just pop them into the Q&A. John and I are happy here to answer any questions you have, talk about anything you want. Feel free to be open. I clearly was. I told everybody a story about my life that, maybe my wife doesn't even know all the details of that, although she's in the next room, so she probably knows them now. But if you have a Q&A, this is your chance to ask them. You can also reach out to me and John privately. Again, we'll send you some emails afterwards if you want to talk about anything. Well, John, it looks like we have skirted Q&A. People not have any questions. Wait a minute, hold on.
Is this meant for relationships? So that's a good question. I'm not sure if you don't have access to the Q&A for whatever reason, you can also type into the chat. So we have two questions. So in terms of, is this meant for relationships? So great question. So the coaching that I do is 99% of my clients are business leaders and entrepreneurs, but I coach the whole person. And so, yes, I'm a life and business coach. And so relationships are very much a part of what I work with people on, improving their relationships. And in every client, whether it's a marriage or partnership or seeking to have that in your life, that's very much included in the work that we do. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I think the word rich in the title of the book is for sure talking about money, but it's about any success that you want it to be, right? You can be rich in love. Right? You can be rich in relationships. You can be rich in whatever it is that you want to be rich in.
Yes. And so we have a question. How does the Wallace Wattles book compare to Napoleon Hill's book, which I just bought? So, hey, Larry, how are you? So you can do them one at a time, because that's a big endeavor. To Think and Grow Rich is amazing. One of the things that I will just say is, so Bob Proctor spent his whole life, he reads a segment of Think and Grow Rich every day of his life. That will change your life. One of the things about the science of getting rich is that it's much shorter and much more condensed. So I think it's, 100 pages or 120 pages. So, it is less elaborate, and it may be a great thing to do a precursor for Think and Grow Rich, because I can tell you, Napoleon Hill used Wallace Wattles' book as part of his source material, as one of the main teachings for his book. But there is a condensed version of the principles. There's less principles. It's no less powerful book, but Think and Grow Rich is a very extensive book with many different success principles from the world's most successful people at the time that he condensed. It's an amazing work. It's a both and, but I would say if you wanted to start with something that's a little bit more bite-sized, maybe read the Wallace Wattles book first. So the second question is, was Wallace Wattles a religious man? So I believe that there's a difference between the word religious as people, and this is kind of a great question that I love answering. There's a difference. I think oftentimes the religious connotation is that it's a traditional form of religion that may be more fundamentalist, that says it's my religion, my way, and everybody else is sort of not saved or not liberated, or that there's one way to have a life of success. And so Wallace Wattles was a part of Emerson and Thoreau started something called the Transcendentalist movement, which morphed into something now called the New Thought movement, or universal spirituality, or interfaith spirituality. And that's what I'm a practitioner of. I'm actually an interfaith minister, which means we honor all paths. And we believe that there are universal principles like the law of electricity, the law of thermodynamics, the law of gravity, and the law of attraction, and the law of receiving we've talked about tonight, and the law of compensation. And that it's not that there's one path or one book that is the only book, but that that we're open to the wisdom of all the ancient traditions. So in my answer to that is, what I would say is he was more of a, and I don't know a lot about his biography, so I know a little bit about it, that he was part of this New Thought tradition of being open to universal spirituality, that there were many different, and that it wasn't just one religion that was the right path, but that all of them pointed to commonalities of a universal truth. So
awesome. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions here. I don't want anybody to think that they can't ask us questions later, right? You have access to me and John. So again, I want to personally say thank you for sharing time with us today, and I hope that you gain great success and insight from this, and that you're motivated to really kick 2020 in the butt, because you can. It is up to you. You can do it.
Exactly.
So
and we believe in you. As you move out into your life, that we believe in you, and we believe in the power within you to create the results that you would absolutely love, to grow that business and to finish 2020 super strong. And thank you for spending time with us.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. And thank you, John. Everybody, please make it a great, tasty day. We will email you later.
Thank you.